and welcome to this week's edition of the CEO Show, FinTech Consultancy's opportunity to speak to leaders in the country about how they coped during COVID and their opinion on what's next. Today, I have with me the privilege of speaking to Mr. Aravinda de Silva, the Deputy Chairman of the Ideal Group. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you for your time.
Good morning. Yeah.
So, obviously, we are now over the trump of curfew. Everyone is out and about. But during that time, when you first heard about the curfew and the fact that COVID-19 had come to Sri Lanka, what was the response of the Ideal Group? How did you decide what needed to happen with your company and even your home life? What was the thought process?
Well, I think it was a surprise to everyone. I think it's something which none of us have faced during our lifetime uh, previously. So I think it was a new experience altogether. And I think as a company, when all these things happened, we basically had to work as if during a war, during the war time. And there were instances where we had curfew running for days on. So that is the kind of thinking pattern we had to get into,
Right.
and to try and have solutions to work around all those situations. And it became very, very hard, understanding that we couldn't reach the customers whom we are uh, very, very focused on, and we are an entity which is very customer centric. So
Mhm.
that was the biggest drawback for the company.
Right.
And then we had to find ways and means as to how we be in touch with the customers. And the other issue was that the customer base we deal with are the bottom of the pyramid customers. And for them, working with technology is really tough. So therefore, I think we were faced with a lot of difficulties. But on the administrative side, I think it was an eye opener for the entire group to realize that a lot of us could work from home, and that really has given an opportunity to try and look at various ways and means as to how we could reduce our cost base, especially working from an office, having expensive real estate utilized for office spaces, uh, where we can reduce staff, reduce the spaces, and maybe some of the administrative stuff could be done from home. So that was another new experience, and of course, I think a lot of them enjoyed being at home and working from home, because obviously they were able to spend more time with the family,
Sure.
and the family bondings became that much greater. I think it's something which I think the future corporate sector will look at very positively.
Yes, that's definitely been a common thread of thought that there might be a different way of doing things as opposed to
Yeah.
waking up in the morning and running to office, sitting in that traffic for hours on end. I think
Yeah.
everyone sort of had a revelation as a result of COVID-19. That's very true. What kind of leadership do you believe needed to be implemented during uh, the hit, uh, in terms of just being human about the situation, recognizing your staff would be encountering different challenges? What sort of leadership did you all feel needed to be put into practice?
Sorry, you're breaking up. I couldn't hear you properly.
Sorry. What kind of leadership do you think your company decided needed to be implemented at this time? The cold sort of we need to do business as usual versus our people are having problems that we might not be able to relate or know about, and showing compassion at that moment in time. What was the ideal group's approach?
Yeah, well, I think we understood the difficulties the staff would be faced with. And I think, in fact, in April, when most of the companies cut their salaries, we actually paid that in advance, uh, understanding that there's going to be curfew, lockdown, and for them to try and get whatever food items or whatever requirements in advance and be able to stock everything in preparation for a long lockdown. And I think, but thereafter, when we realized, because we always felt that it'll just come and maybe it'll be sorted within 3 weeks or so, but didn't realize the real impact which we are seeing now. As I said earlier, it's an eye opener and a new crisis which we are faced with. So I think you've got to be innovative and be strong, supportive, and obviously the government needs to step in this situation, because it's not the fault of various corporates or individuals. It's a global environment, and it's something which is having a chain reaction. So we need to try and really work around these parameters and do our best to come out of this situation much stronger.
Sure, sure. Now, over in America, as we speak today, things are very bleak, very dismal. Uh, the future of America is actually quite uncertain.
Mm.
The leadership doesn't seem to be able to step up to the plate. Uh, Lots of people are being impacted. I'm sure you sat down in the evening time with a cup of tea and pondered about the future of both Sri Lanka and the world in general. Can you share with us a few of your thoughts regarding this?
Yeah, well, I think it's you shouldn't be just sitting around wondering, because I think at the same time there are great opportunities out there. And I think if you're positive and brave enough, this is the ideal time to go out there, look at those opportunities, and work around your synergies and strengths to try and grab those opportunities. I think that is something which I'm sure lot of them are at the moment looking at, because things are not going to be like this forever. It's going to change. People are not going to be sitting on their backs and hoping things will go right. You got to go out there and make it happen. So obviously you got to sit around a table, plan out, and have a proper strategy as to how we are going to progress ahead, and obviously at the same time to look at opportunities which come our way to strengthen the existing situation.
Right. Do you feel it's been about a month, I think, now, since the curfew was lifted and people have started going back to work and traffic has hit the road, Colombo? um, are you quite optimistic looking at how everything has picked up? Are you quite optimistic about the next few months? You think recovery is a good is going to happen without too much trouble? What say you? Or do you future
You're
of
breaking up again,
okay?
Ilanga.
That's okay. I was
Yeah.
asked with the curfew lifted, it's coming to around 3 weeks, 4 weeks now. Are you happy with the changes you're seeing? People are getting things back to normal and running, grabbing the ball and running with it, so to speak. Are you happy with what you see, or are you a little bit concerned?
No, well, I think everyone knows that it'll get back to normal, and people forget things very, very quickly. And this, I'm sure, will become a part of life maybe within the next 3 to 6 months, and they'll be ready to face it. And I'm sure it'll be just another incident, and maybe they'll find a vaccine things might be just forgotten completely, and everything will come back to normal. But the thing is that we see the transition is quite slow because of various restrictions, and also with regards to the restrictions overseas, people being allowed to travel and stuff like that, because that is where we do trade has become international nowadays. So basically, we have now gone back so many years, and trade we it has become restricted to your own country.
Mm.
Very few opportunities outside your own country. So I think that is something which, fortunately, people who have contacts and who have built the contacts are continuing their businesses. But to look at new opportunities outside your country, you need to travel and meet people, because that's how you build trust. It's very difficult to build trust on a phone call and a video call.
Sure.
So they need to see things with their own eyes, to see what exactly the opportunities are, and then also understand the people. So I think that is the only drawback at this point of time. And I think once you get over that period, it'll things will go back to normal. And I'm sure uh, uh, traveling overseas and the travel industry will not be the same, I guess, because for you to probably get on a flight, there'll be so many clearances and things you might have to go through. So that I think is one concern I have. But apart from that, I guess everything else will get back to normal, I feel, within the next 3 to 4 months.
Okay. Very encouraging. Very encouraging. My final question to you, you mentioned before that the reality that maybe working at home was a good thing. Would you mind sharing a little bit about your experience being around your family and having to separate work from home? How was that for you?
Sorry, but
I said, sorry, just with regards to working from home, you mentioned before that, it was actually a positive experience and it opened your eyes with regards to the fact that it's possible. Can you share a little bit about how dividing home and work, how was that for you? What was it like?
yeah, it was quite easy actually, because you get up in the morning and see everything had to be done online. Whereas when I come to the office now, we just need to sign a lot of documents and stuff. But one good thing was even the banks were willing to work online and
Yeah,
accept um, uh, transfers and all transactions to be done online, which I think is a sensible thing to do. But of course, you've got to have proper systems in place to avoid any fraudulent act. So therefore, I feel uh, trying to work from home was something which I enjoyed very much, because my wife, the only thing she did was from morning till evening was feeding me. And so every time you finish a meal, they come and ask what you want for lunch. So we finish lunch, what they want to know what we want for tea. So being spoilt a little bit, but apart from that, I think being around the kids after a long time, because they have a lot of activities in general, because they're involved in a lot of sports and extracurricular activities, which means that they're out of the house most of the time. But they spent a real good 2 months completely sitting around and watching movies, and as a family doing things, having meals together. So that was kind of interesting. For me, it was no difference because I generally also encourage people to come home for some meetings, even after hours, working hours. So for me, it wasn't a real change because
Right.
I normally also do a lot of work out of home because I hate to be on the road because
Right.
sometimes it just takes unnecessary amount of time just trying to get from one place to another. So I guess that was a real positive for me.
Very nice. I think that so many people have shared how they got to reconnect with their loved ones, something that probably would have never happened, even on a
Yeah.
vacation. You're always running around, when you go on holiday. So
Mm.
a blessing in disguise for so many families. Very
Yeah.
Mr. Silva, thank you so much for your time.
You're
Uh,
welcome.
you taking a minute to share with us your thoughts, and wish you all the very best in the next
Thank
4 months. Things will return to normal, and we'll be running as Sri Lankans always do.
thank you so much. You're welcome.